and my first assessment, I dealt with a lot of soldiers, and of course I've been across the border myself, including at that location on numerous occasions, and I thought, well, what's the, you always want to let the facts come out. So what did the guy do? Why is he in prison? What was happening here? There's smuggling. But there's also a situation where here's a Marine who has a clean record, as far as I could tell. And like I said, you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. But, you want to give deference and give the benefit of the doubt to your service personnel unless proven otherwise. So, certainly absolutely concerned as soon as I heard about it, but I kept thinking there's going to be more to this story that lends itself to their side of the argument that he should be in jail. But I got to tell you, 140 days later, I haven't heard one darn thing that convinces me that, a Marine that served with honor should be, rotting his life away in a Mexican prison. And so I remained even more distressed than I was when I first heard of it.
Well, it's your feelings are shared by many Americans who are frustrated, and one of the things that came about early on, basically two bills were introduced into Congress. One of them has gotten a lot of attention on Twitter, House Resolution 620. Another one that is less known is House Resolution 612, which you are a co-sponsor of. And just wanted to give you, was that a conscious decision on your part to sign one or the other, or how did that come to be?
No, I think the first one is the one that I signed on to is Steve Stockman, and I was sitting on the floor of the House with him one day talking about what the heck we could do, and he mentioned, and I said, I'm absolutely interested. Please sign me up. I think the other one is Judge Poe's, and it's not that I'm disinterested at all. As a matter of fact, there's a good chance I will co-sponsor it. I just at this point, I think that the Stockman legislation provides our lead statesman, the president, more opportunity and more flexibility, and says, this is the will of the American people, which is send back our Marine, or there's going to be consequences to it. And I think that's the stronger piece of legislation. I certainly don't have any aversion to signing on to the other one, but I want to make the strongest statement possible, and I think the Stockman legislation between the two, really put some teeth into a circumstance where if the government of Mexico does not make a decision, does not abide by our wishes, then there's a penalty for that. And I think it's important to show your strength. They're our third largest trading partner, but this is a situation that doesn't need to be what it is right now. And, especially while they're allowing literally thousands of people, including criminals, to come across their border in the United States, and in some ways, many would say aiding and abetting that action, including drugs and all kinds of bad actors. We've got somebody that tried to obey the law, and so far everything bears that out. And, we've just got to sit here and watch them go through their archaic process, while a good man who probably needs even maybe some counseling assistance or what have you for his time in the military, he just sits there, and this United States government acts like it's impotent to do anything, and it's unacceptable. I don't know how else to say it. It's unacceptable to us.
I think we all have a sense of impotence, Congressman Perry, because, we tweet about it. You've signed on to H.R. 612. You've indicated H.R. 620 is a good piece of legislation you might consider signing. But if you were the president and if you were sitting in that office right now, what would you do?
Well, I'll tell you what, at a minimum, there'd be a phone call to the president, Nieto, and I'd say, you and I both know what the deal is here, and maybe there's more to it. So let's say there's more to it. Maybe Mexico is upset with our president regarding the operation of Fast and Furious and what that did, down in their country, and maybe this is payback. But nothing's going to get fixed without a dialogue. So if we can't come to some terms over a phone call, it seems to me appropriate to make a trip. I mean, it's a few-hour flight on Air Force One. The president can seem to find time to go just about everywhere else, and this is an important issue that I think deserves his attention. It's a national credibility issue, and I think it can be resolved pretty quickly with a conversation that reminds the administration, the government of Mexico, of our mutual benefit to our mutual relationship, and anything that strains that relationship would harm both of us, but certainly harm them more than it would us. And I think it'd be a great, it'd be a great opportunity for the president to put Sergeant Tamarisi on Air Force One and bring him home personally. I think that would show some exceptional leadership and courage at a time where, let's face it, as Americans, we don't see any leadership on any front, whether it's domestic foreign policy, economic policy. The only leadership we seem to see is in spying on Americans and apologizing for America being a great country to the rest of the world. That's the only place we see any leadership. Here's an opportunity, and if I were this president, that's the opportunity I would take. I guarantee you, if I went to Mexico, I wouldn't leave without our Marine.
Well, what a novel idea to pick up the phone as president and call the president of Mexico. That I guess that has never dawned upon our president, but I do love the idea of taking Air Force One down to Mexico, and let's bring Sergeant Tamarisi home, on Air Force One.
Yeah, I mean the guy has spent 140 days, come up on half a year. He's lost all his possessions, and he's watching his life ebb away in a Mexican prison, having served his nation, having fought and risked his life for his nation. And now his nation can't even be bothered to make a phone call. I personally, I don't get it. I don't understand what the calculation is, what the equation is. I grew up, as you did, I imagine, in a time where being an American citizen, being American service personnel around the world meant something. And it breaks my heart to see that one individual can take all that credibility in one fell swoop and just destroy it. And that's what I see happening. And unfortunately, Sergeant Tamarisi has to bear the brunt of that burden himself personally.
Well, Congressman, I think we all feel a sense of outrage, as you've expressed, and I see it expressed on Twitter, and I see a lot of tweets turning to congressmen, pleading with them to sign on to this legislation or that legislation or do something, write letters. And, here at PJNET, we always want to encourage positive, citizen activism and being involved in government, but give us some practical limits of what the role of Congress can be in this situation.
It's important, and it's important for people to be involved. Number one, I think it's important to understand the differences between the House of Representatives and the Senate in this regard. The Senate has more standing; they ratify treaties and deal with nominations and ambassadors and so on and so forth. And so they really, as a legislative body, must take the lead or should take the lead in this regard. As much as members of Congress seem to be more interested in taking the lead, it'd be great to have your listeners and viewers put some pressure on the United States Senate, and particularly Senator Reid and Senator Dick Durbin. They have the president's ear more than certainly members of Congress, and certainly more than Republican members of Congress. That'd be number one. Bob Menendez would be another good one to reach out to. And quite honestly, I'd love to see your viewership, your readership, and listenership flood the president's office. I mean, the executive is the one who faithfully discharges these duties, and he is he's at the top of the negotiating platform for the United States of America, and he needs to hear loud and clear this continuous cacophony from citizens that having our Marines stuck in prison for really no good reason from an ally of ours without so much as a blink or a phone call, barely a letter or even an inquiry from the United States of America is unacceptable. It's unacceptable, it's reprehensible, and we cannot and will not accept it. And we're just going to keep on calling, writing, and screaming until the president gets engaged and gets our guy out of prison and back home to the country that loves him, where he should be, that he served, and let's move on to other important matters. But while the president is enjoying his vacation, we got a good Marine sergeant who's he's chained or handcuffed to a bed in a Mexican prison for making an honest mistake and trying to be honest about it. That's if you can't stand up for that in America, what can you stand up for? And so, encouraging the Senate respectfully, I think, is helpful. And don't forget the president, that he's got a switchboard. He said he has a phone. let's see if he'll answer it. So make those phone calls continuously, just one right after another, every day. Just put it on your calendar. Make a call and let him know that that's what you're thinking about. Your sergeant sitting over there waiting to be freed by by a third world country that doesn't have any interest in freeing him and won't have any interest apparently until the most powerful nation on the planet bothers to pick up the phone and let him know that we're interested in having our service member come home.
Well, Congressman, you're certainly doing your part, and we appreciate your leadership right down to having a selfie taken with a Bring Back Our Marine sign. And we are certainly doing our part, and it's a pleasure, Congressman, and an honor to work with you as a team on this and other issues of national importance, and we thank you for sharing so generously with your time tonight.
Well, thank you, and I guarantee you if it was up to folks like me and Duncan Hunter, who also served as a proud Marine, we'd go get in a military aircraft, fly to Mexico ourselves and do it, but it's just not our place, and so we just respectfully are doing the same thing you're doing, which is urging the President and the Senate every single day to get in the fight to bring our service member home, and before one more day passes that he is stuck in this jail. And we appreciate any of the efforts that you and your audience can lend to this effort to get him out of there.
Congressman, thank you.